My dream is I want to be one of the best athletes Australia has ever seen. I want to go to the big events. I want to go to the Olympics. I want to go to the 28 Olympics in LA. I want to go to the Brisbane Olympics, hopefully here in Brisbane. And I just want to show the world that I am Gout and I'm here to stay. And the Olympics is the best place to do that.
Nothing's better than the feeling of victory.
Welcome to CELFA, the channel of motivation, personal development, and leadership. Here, every true story becomes a life lesson. Today, discover the incredible rise of a young sprinter who is already shaking up the legends of the world of sport. Here is the inspiring journey of Gout Gout. There are names you forget as soon as you hear them. And then, there are those that leave a mark. Not because they are powerful, but because they carry a story. The name Gout Gout was not chosen in glory. It was imposed by an administrative error, a mistake at birth. But this name, repeated twice like an echo, will cross borders, make stopwatches tremble, and command respect. Because behind these two syllables, there is a will, an energy, a trajectory out of the ordinary. Gout Gout was not born in a stadium. He did not grow up in a great capital city. He was born in Ipswich, a quiet town in Queensland, Australia, in 2007. But his story begins long before him. It begins in South Sudan, in a country ravaged by war, where his parents fled to save their lives. Monica and Bona left everything. They crossed borders, lived in exile, spent a time in Egypt, before setting foot in Australia in 2005. 2 years later, their son was born on this foreign soil. A land of refuge, but not yet of recognition. He grew up between two worlds, in a modest home, surrounded by 6 brothers and sisters, with a different language, a culture to rebuild, and an uncertain future. In his childhood, Gout Gout was a discreet boy. Curious. Attentive. He did not think about becoming a champion. He thought about playing football, like so many others. He admired Cristiano Ronaldo, not for his statistics, but for his discipline. What he loved in sport was the idea that with work, you could build anything. But it was not the round ball that would call him. It did not all start on an athletics track. It was on a football field. Gout Gout played with intensity, with instinct, with a speed that did not go unnoticed. He did not yet have a personal coach. No structured program. But he ran. Always faster than the others. One day, someone saw him sprint with the ball at his feet, running up the field in a few seconds. And that speed, that natural ability, could not stay confined within the limits of a pitch. That is how he was invited to try athletics. A discipline he did not know, but which would become his world. At first, he hesitated. But very quickly, he understood that on the track, he could go further. Here, speed was not just a tool, but an art. He accepted the invitation, joined a first training session, and from the first tries, the times spoke for themselves. That was when Diane Sheppard, his future coach, entered the scene. Diane Sheppard, athletics coach, noticed this boy who ran with still poorly coordinated arms, but with rare speed, natural ease, and raw explosiveness. She saw what he did not yet see. She approached him, encouraged him, and invited him to train seriously. He accepted. And that simple yes would change his life. At 13, he fully committed himself to athletics. He left football behind. Not because he no longer liked it, but because he understood that on the track, every result depended solely on him. He liked that direct link between effort and performance. He quickly understood that sprinting was not just a matter of speed. It was a school of rigor, control, and patience. He began to train almost every day, while continuing his studies at Ipswich Grammar School. He was serious, focused, humble. He listened, he learned, he repeated. His coach refined his technique, corrected his footwork, adjusted his arms. She shaped him without breaking him. She pushed him without stifling him. At 14, he ran the 100 meters in 10.57 seconds. The country began to whisper his name. The following year, at 15, he went even lower. Over 200 meters, he broke the national under-18 record in 20.87 seconds. The gap with the other young athletes was striking. Comparisons began. And the name Gout Gout found itself, almost despite him, cited alongside another giant, Usain Bolt. But he did not get carried away. He did not seek the spotlight. He sought to improve. Every second counted. Every hundredth became a challenge. He knew where he came from. He knew what his parents had sacrificed. And he knew that in this sport, talent was never enough. At 16, he reached a new level. In December 2024, at a meeting in Perth, he ran a 100 meters in 10.17 seconds under official conditions. And the next day, he smashed the Oceania U18 record over 200 meters in 20.04 seconds. That day, the world could no longer ignore him. He became the second fastest under-18 athlete in history, behind American Ariane Knighton and ahead of Usain Bolt himself at the same age. But when journalists put a microphone in front of him, he did not talk about records. He talked about learning. He talked about discipline. He talked about silence. Over the months, the times kept falling. The 100 meters in under 10 seconds in training. The 200 meters in 19.84 seconds, even if the wind was too favorable for the time to be ratified. But what the public remembered was his consistency, his humility, his calm. He did not gesture. He did not provoke. He ran. And he let the results speak for him. The comparisons were inevitable. As soon as Gout Gout began breaking times, one name kept coming back, Usain Bolt. And with good reason. At the age of 16, Bolt ran the 200 meters in 20.58 seconds. Gout Gout, for his part, finished it in 20.04, a huge gap at that level. Over the 100 meters, Bolt was running around 10.30 seconds at 17 years old, when Gout was already under 10.20 in official conditions. If we just look at the numbers, Gout Gout is ahead. Ahead of the man still considered today as the greatest sprinter of all time. But Gout Gout is not content with running fast. What is impressive is his regularity, his maturity, his way of staying calm under pressure at an age when so many others implode or lose their way. Where Bolt played with exuberance, Gout impresses with his silence. Two different paths, but the same intensity. And some are starting to wonder if this young man with the double name might one day bring down the legacy of the king of sprinting. His parents, Monica and Bona, remain discreet. They do not seek to manage his image. They watch over him. They make sure he stays grounded, that he keeps his feet on the ground. Gout Gout still lives at home. He helps around the house. He cooks. He studies. He goes to bed early. He sleeps without his phone. And every day, he returns to the track with the same determination. At the same time, his entourage is getting organized. He signs a contract with Adidas. He joins experienced management. He receives advice from figures like James Templeton, former agent of champion David Rudisha. He is protected, but not confined. He remains himself. Accessible, polite, focused. In June 2025, he made his debut in Europe, in Ostrava, Czech Republic. In a packed stadium, he ran the 200 meters and crossed the line in 20.02 seconds. New Oceania record in legal conditions. The press went wild. The cameras followed him. Social networks analyzed him. But he, as always, did not stray. He thanked his coach, thought of his parents, and went back to training. At only 17, he is already considered one of the greatest hopes in world sprinting. And yet, he keeps the same routine. The same hunger. The same patience. He does not talk about the Olympic Games as a distant dream. He talks about Tokyo, Los Angeles, Brisbane. Not for the prestige, but for the honor. For commitment. to show that consistency pays. That quiet faith, combined with work, can push all limits. Today, Gout Gout is no longer just a name. He is a symbol. That of a generation born between two worlds, between two cultures, between two identities. He is Australian on paper, South Sudanese at heart, and universal by his example. He does not run for glory. He runs for history. A story made of sacrifices, silent nights, early mornings, sore muscles, doubts overcome. A story made of education, rigor, respect. A story that already inspires thousands of young people in Australia, in Africa, and everywhere else. Gout Gout did not choose to have a strange name, but he chose to make it a legendary one. And what he is building, day after day, is not a career. It is a trajectory. That of a young man who proves that no matter where you come from, what matters is where you want to go and how fast you are ready to run there. The story of Gout Gout is not just a succession of times. It is a living example. A reminder that success does not wait for age, nor for perfect circumstances. Behind every stride, there is a philosophy. A way of seeing the world, of seeing oneself. Here are 5 strong lessons that his journey teaches us, and which can transform the way you think, act, and grow. Lesson 1. You do not need to start in the right place to finish at the right level. Gout Gout was born into a refugee family, in a country where his name was not even understood. He did not grow up with privileges, but with a complex history. Yet he never used his origins as an excuse. He turned this difficult start into fuel. This lesson is essential. No matter where you start from, what matters is the direction you choose. Your roots do not define your ceiling. They anchor your strength. Lesson 2. Talent gets you noticed, but discipline makes you stay. When Diane Sheppard spotted him at the age of 13, Gout Gout had the speed, but not yet the structure. It is daily training, silence, regularity, the choice to sleep early, to turn off his phone, to repeat the same gestures over and over, that made him an athlete. Many are fast, but few get up at dawn to stay that way. Talent opens a door. Discipline installs you in the room for the long term. Lesson 3. What you do in the shadows will always appear in the light. He did not seek media attention. He did not force recognition. He just worked, far from the spotlight, for years. And the day he appeared in Ostrava, or on the Australian tracks, he was ready. What you build in silence will always end up speaking for you. No need to shout your worth. The result will speak louder than your ego. So, stay focused, even when no one is watching. Lesson 4. Comparisons can hurt you, or lift you up, depending on your mindset. Very early, he was compared to Usain Bolt. Some would have taken it as pressure. He took it as a reference. He said, "I am not Bolt. I want to create my own story." This attitude is essential in a world obsessed with rankings. Do not run to beat the other. Run to beat who you were yesterday. Be inspired by the best, but never forget that your mission is unique, and that the only real rival is yourself. Lesson 5. Humility is an invisible force that nothing can stop. Despite his records, his titles, and the praise, Gout Gout remains simple. He lives with his parents. He helps at home. He stays available, calm, focused. This is not weakness. It is silent power. Humility does not mean bowing down. It means knowing you are on the way, not yet arrived. It is what keeps your feet on the ground when your head starts to touch the clouds. And it is this attitude that turns a talent into a lasting legend. If this story touched you, subscribe to CELFA. Because here, we do not follow the crowd. We carve our own path. Every week, Powerful stories to feed your vision, strengthen your discipline, and awaken your potential. Remember, you do not need to look like others to become exceptional. You just need to believe, to act, and to keep moving forward.